Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm the King. Welcome back to the channel. Recently, Dead by Daylight have re-evaluated the Doctor, and I think it's only fair if we do the same on our tier list. If you guys remember our last tier list, we ranked the Doctor pretty low in the C tier. I absolutely despise going against the Doctor. I'm the first one to admit that I absolutely hate the Doctor, but I'm also the first one to admit that the Doctor is indeed changed, and today we are going to be re-evaluating him and moving him from our tier list. We're only going to be focusing on the Doctor in this video. Normally, I would go through every single character as a lot of changes go on, but in this mid-chapter patch, besides the Doctor changes, we didn't really receive much, so I'm not going to re-evaluate the entire list. We're solely going to focus on the Doctor and the Doctor alone. I would love to hear your opinions as well. If you guys have any feedback or anything that you agree or disagree with, leave it down in the comments below. I'd love to read some of those. Anyways, let's talk about what old Doctor was, and then we're going to talk about what new Doctor was and how he ranks. So old Doctor on my list was ranked in the C tier. He was pretty low, and as I said, I hate the Doctor. I hated everything about him. I hated playing against him. I hated playing as him. It was just no fun to me. And a lot of things played into why I really despise the Doctor. So let's think about old Doctor. He had two modes, and these two modes were treatment and punishment. In treatment mode, you move a little bit slower, but you have this shock, and the shock would stop survivors from vaulting or using a pallet if they get zapped in time. At this point, you would move at 110% speed, and once you successfully zap them, the only way to hurt them was to switch to punishment mode, which takes some time, and then you would have to smack them. In addition to this, if you didn't use the right add-ons, the Doctor really felt kind of weak. His range for his blast was so short, and on the flip side, playing against him, you know, constantly screaming and then having to snap out of it, it was just both underwhelming and annoying at the same time. Kind of like Legion, where you continuously get frenzy stabbed. It's very underwhelming, but you have to consistently mend and mend and mend and mend. It's really annoying to play against. With new Doctor, a lot of those aspects are fixed and changed, and that's why I really like them. So first of all, let's talk about how it's different. We no longer have treatment and punishment mode. Instead, we have one mode. So right away, you're consistently moving at 115% speed. You're no longer at 110 when you're in treatment mode. So right there, that's a big buff. Any killer that is 110 needs to have a really good power in order to be viable. We've seen this with the Huntress, we see this with the Spirit, we even see this with the Hag. If you see good players play any of those characters, they will absolutely dominate it. And sure, you can say the same thing for many other characters, but when looking at the 110% killers, they have a more unique and better power compared to, let's say, a 115 Trapper, who is just going around placing traps, compared to someone like the Huntress, who has projectiles. You know, so their power is really, really unique and really strong for them to overcome that hurdle of 110. So when we had the Doctor, he was the only killer that went around in 110. That was very lackluster and didn't do much. So right away, putting him at 115 is definitely a huge change. Now in the PTB, I didn't like him for one reason, and that one reason was after you shock someone, the cooldown between shocking and going back to your weapon was 3 whole seconds, and 3 seconds in Dead by Daylight is a very long time. Thankfully, they have changed that to 1.5 seconds, so it's way better. You can shock now and successfully get a hit, so you can tactically use your shocks at vaults or at loops, and then you can go ahead and smack the person. That is a huge game changer. If you have played the Doctor or haven't tried him out yet, give him a shot. At 3 seconds to 1.5 is a big life changer, so that's another plus that we have for the Doctor. In addition to this, we also cannot forget about his new base power, the static blast. Now, originally with Doctor, when you just started playing him, the initial tear up would get the survivors to scream. Berkey made an amazing video about this, talking about everything that he's seen with the Doctor and how to make him better a while back. I'll leave a link to it down below. And one of the things that he mentioned in that video that I remember was that the Doctor was good at initially finding people. As soon as they go into tier 1, you know exactly where they are, you can go and get them, but after that, that's pretty much it. It's kind of like going from 0 to tier 1 was really good, and that's all you really had for the Doctor for tracking wise, and after that, they'll be stuck in tier 2 and eventually tier 3, and they'll just snap out of it. Now, with the new static blast, on your cue at every 60 seconds, in your heartbeat, you can go ahead and blast and pinpoint survivors, giving you a whole new aspect of pressure and awareness and information that you need for playing him. And information as a killer is super valuable. You now know where survivors are. This works well with whispers or any perks like that, distressing as well. So you can just shock in your range. You can pinpoint exactly where the survivors are, go straight to them, and get the job done. And then when combining this with some of the perks that I've mentioned, it becomes even more and more powerful. So now, instead of having the old Doctor where you initially just shock, and then that's pretty much it, the people just scream randomly at whatever times, now on cue you can get people to scream. This is great for finding the last survivor and other things. And I honestly wish moving forward as well, more and more killers will have this secondary type of ability. We've seen this with Freddy, and this was introduced with the Pig. They have a new button. They should utilize that new button because these killers are beautiful. Freddy has the same thing with teleporting to generators, applying that pressure. And especially with the new Ruin changes, this works very nice. So I won't talk too much about the Ruin stuff because I do want to make another video, but normally when 2 gens get popped, map becomes a little bit more condensed. For the Doctor, his heartbeat is 32 meters. When the map becomes that condensed and you shock, you're more than likely to find 1 or 2 survivors and you can just go and kill them. So it works pretty well with the new Ruin changes as well. So that's pretty good. In addition to this, we need to talk about his add-ons. Now, normally I stray away from add-ons when I talk about killers in my tier list because it just takes way too long going through every single killer's add-ons and how that changes them. For the Doctor, he is not super reliant on his add-ons. He still can be a very devastating killer without them. However, with them, you can make some super good builds and you can make them really, really nice. My favorite add-ons to run personally are High Stimulus and the add-on, I don't remember the name, I think it's Obedience, the one that Red Stain tracks them. This just makes the survivors like run and run and run. They hit a heartbeat, they see the red stain, and you can mind game them so easily. I know Polyester, who is a survivor main, has been loving the Doctor running the 2 comms with Monitor and Abuse and Distressing. And then when you do that static blast, the entire map is filled with it. And then you pinpoint where everybody is and you can apply even more pressure. It's really, really good on the Doctor. So some of the add-ons are really good and they take him from where he was all the way down here and puts him up like way up here. Even the new Iridescent Queen is really good as well, having that static ball around a survivor, and then if they touch someone else they would scream as well. More information to you. The add-ons just take the Doctor from a very low tier killer to a very high tier killer. Now with all of that being said, the question that is remaining, where does the Doctor land on my tier list? Because before he was low C, now after playing him for a while, I can be the first person to say I went from hating the Doctor, not liking playing against him or as him, to absolutely loving him. I love playing against him, I love playing as him, and he is all the way up on my tier list now. He is B+, all the way up there. Now I would put him at A, but the company that is in my A tier list are pretty elite. We have the Oni, we have the Spirit, so there's some pretty high figures up there. So I don't want to really push him all the way up there. That would be a little bit too much, but I think B and B+ is a fair rating for the Doctor. He plays really well. He can pinpoint survivors, he can apply the pressure, he can cut loops off, he moves at 115, and then, you know, there's always him looking good and custom chase music that, you know, makes my view a little bit more biased, but not heavily. So all in all, the Doctor is really fun to play as, really fun to play against. I know I'm repeating myself now, but I just absolutely love the Doctor now, and I am happy they changed him, and I'm looking forward to the changes that they're going to make to other killers, such as Legion, because let's be honest, Legion really needs some reworks. A Legion, Leatherface, Clown, these are some killers that really can use some love. Even the Pig, all these killers could use some love in, and I'm very excited for what they're going to do because they've done a phenomenal job with the Doctor. So that's gonna wrap it up for this video. The Doctor has went from low C tier to upper B tier, almost A-, but not quite there just yet. And they could make some subtle changes to get him there, but I think they're never going to do that. For example, snapping out. I don't like that it just stays your progress for snapping out. Like you could snap out to 99 and then run and then snap out, you know what I mean? I don't really like that aspect of things, but if he does need a buff and they see that his kill rate is too low or anything like that, they will look into it and they will eventually fix it. For now, the doctor is fine, and I think he's in a very nice place. Let me know if you agree or disagree. Tell me in the comments below. I would love to hear what you guys think. Nonetheless, I'm the king. I tip my crown to you guys as always, and we'll see you in the fog.